Super Soul Sisters, yet again another amazing episode. I enjoy myself, people, on this seat because I meet amazing women, our Super Soul Sisters, and they always take us through their journey. Now, journeys are different. That is one thing we need to know by now. Rowena Kajumba is my name, and our Super Soul Sister today is Kiiza, or Winfred Kiiza, but I think everyone knows you as Winnie Kiiza.
Yeah.
But thank you so much
Welcome,
for making
Kajumba.
time. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I really want to appreciate all those who are interested in the Super Soul Sister program.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Kajumba.
Thank you. I'm glad you made time. I keep telling this before, I'm a very lucky person to
Yeah.
meet women that are doing so much
Oh, dear.
that the world sometimes thinks is so little, you know?
Yeah.
So when people see you, of course, they're like, politician. But before the politician, the Winnie Kiiza, the honorable, the leader, I have a feeling you are one before all of that, but who is Winnie Kiiza?
The Winnie Kiiza original is this little girl who was born in a small village in Kasese district, a village called Karambi, in a sub-county called Kisinga. Then, before it became a town council, it was a sub-county called Kisinga in Senyi Parish. I am a neighbor to St. Teresa Girls' School, the only and one girls' school in Kasese district. And then I was born on the 26th of November, 1972, to Modest Muke and Costes Muke Kanyere, both late.
Oh dear.
But may their souls rest in eternal peace. Yes. And so that is the Winnie Kiiza original. Grew up from this village.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, many. My mother gave birth to over 9 kids. Oh. And I am second to the last. So you can see how I grew up as a loved child with so many sisters and so many brothers to carry me.
Yes.
However, at the age, when I went into primary 2, our father passed on.
Oh dear.
He was a teacher, a primary teacher. And then, of course, we were home to this woman, very hardworking woman, taking care of over 7 kids who were in school. But I really want to thank her. She's an amazing woman. And I think much of what I am
is her.
I copied it from her. I saw her struggle with life. And I know you will say, then how did you navigate life?
Yes.
As we were growing up, of course, times became hard after the death of her father. My mother defied history, defied tradition, defied culture, and she refused to be inherited, as our culture demanded.
Yes.
Culture demanded that, the Bakonzo culture, is that when a man dies, then the woman is inherited by one of the brothers of the late husband. But my mother said, no, I can't be inherited. And because
that is a strong woman.
Yes, and because of that, and you know, this was unheard of. So because of that, many of our late father's relatives kind of abandoned her. So she said, well, I will still struggle on. So we started the real life.
The real life now,
And this real life entailed us doing some small businesses, and the biggest one that we had at that time was the sale of pancakes. My mother
I love pancakes.
My mother would make, even up to now, I really love pancakes.
Yes.
I can't just bypass someone selling pancakes because I know what it means to that little girl on the roadside, or that woman on the roadside selling pancakes. I did it.
Yes.
My first skills of marketing, I got them from the sale of pancakes.
Now, how old were you at this point?
I was around 10.
Okay, so you are going to school and
I
coming
would
back.
be going to school with this bucket of pancakes, sell the pancakes. We now had to up the business. We blended it with nuts. So we would fry the nuts.
And then you go with them
Then
to
we
school.
go with the nuts and the pancakes because we realized that they go well
Together.
together,
Yes.
yes. And when I finished P7, I went to senior. I would now do the business during the
holiday.
holidays.
Okay.
When we are going to church, I carry my bucket of pancakes,
You
and
go
I would
with
be
it.
among the very first ones to go for Holy Communion,
So
that,
that you can
I
be
jump
free.
out very fast to go and sit on my basket of pancakes, and I
wait.
sell to those who are coming
That
from
was
church.
quite entrepreneurial for a
So
child.
we did this business for some time. Though at some point I went and stayed with my uncle who was paying my school fees, and I stayed with him. But every time I would get an opportunity to go home, I would join mom into this business.
Okay, so let's go back a bit. Where did you go? Primary school?
I went to many schools in primary. First, I went to Senyi Primary School. That's where our father was teaching. That is the school that is near home, up to P4.
Okay.
So after P4, that is when our uncle took me up, and I went and started staying with him. Then went for primary 5 to Kajwenge Primary School, the school that was near
Near
uncle's
home.
home. Later, he transferred me to Kiiza Primary School for P6 and P7. Now, Kiiza was a little bit better than Kajwenge in performance by all standards, and I think he wanted the best for me. So he took me to that school, though it was some distance away from home, more than 4 kilometers. So I would trek this journey every morning and every evening as I go to school and come back. And as I got to P7, they expected us to be in school by 7 because we had to do some study
Prepare,
before the others come in. So you can imagine by
How early,
6, I'm on the road moving to go and study and then come back
So
home
you were
in the
helping
evening.
your mom sell pancakes within which classes?
That is, my father died when I was in primary 2.
Yes, yes.
So beginning from primary 2 to P4, I was selling the pancakes at school.
You'd go with them?
I would go with them at
And
school
then come back
and
with money, yes.
at church every Sunday. So when I went to Kajwenge,
Yes.
the help
Yeah.
to mommy kind of went a little bit low. But my young brother, now our last born, started now doing the business.
Okay.
Now every time I would come for holiday at home, then I would pick up from there.
Oh, yes.
Or
'cause
if
you'd be
I
like,
come
"Oh, let me
home
come
for a
on."
holiday, during that time when I'm still in primary, then I would pick the pancakes,
mom,
go with
yeah.
them to church. So even when I went to secondary school,
Yes.
I would link up with mom. There is a way she would send the pancakes to my secondary school because it was not far
Yes,
from home.
yes.
I went to Sad Memorial Secondary School.
Okay.
We're within the same
same,
sub-county.
yes.
But Sad is the biggest, the first secondary school that was built in Kasese district by Idi Amin. So I would get in touch with her. She brings me the
Yes,
pancakes
yes.
and I sell them. After selling, I send her back the money.
That was very
Meanwhile,
so your elder...
my elder sisters were in senior.
Okay,
So
yes,
for them, their secondary schools were a little bit far from...
Out of
Yeah,
Kasese.
out of reach. And now my little brother would take some of the pancakes to St. Teresa girls.
Yes.
Give the pancakes to the girls there. They sell for him. And
Yes.
then eventually he became a darling to many of the girls there. And he was just a little boy.
Oh, dear, yes.
So he would carry them, take them to the matron, and then the matron would
Help,
help in
yes.
selling them, and eventually we would get some little money to keep us moving. So this is the
You
little
kept,
Winnie
yes.
that went through the
so that
Karambe
means
Primary School.
as a child, did you have time to play with your friends?
Yes, I was really a naughty child. I played a lot. I made many friends as a child.
Yes.
So sometimes we would even go to play with my friends and I say, please sit on the bucket. I go play a little, then come back and say.
Yeah, you didn't lose any money.
Well,
right?
I wouldn't. At some point when people overwhelm me, some of them would take some pancakes, but I would explain. And my mom knew that I really can't touch
that's
the
true.
money. I can't eat the pancakes. And what amazed me was that every time she would give me this bucket of pancakes, she would put some for me to give to my friends.
Oh, dear.
Said, I know you have friends possibly who sit by to assist you.
Have
these, you can give them some. So that is how I grew up.
Any particular memory you have? Because you've said, but I was a naughty child.
Yeah.
Any particular memory you have as a child and just look back to date and say, what was I thinking?
Yes, I think the one thing that I still remember very well was when we would go to Congo to pick the cooking oil.
Oh, that is when you were in
Yes,
in primary,
when I was
yes?
still in primary.
Oh, okay.
In P4, a distance of, I think, around 15 kilometers.
You'd go with your mother?
No, with my little brother.
Oh.
To go and do procurement of
I
the
can
cooking
imagine.
oil. We were using palm oil, and this palm oil would only be available in
Yes.
Congo at
By the border,
the market
yes.
that is near the Ugandan border. So what I remember is that he had the wheel of the car.
Yes, yeah.
So we would go running
Yeah.
with it, and this brother of mine is now
pushing
wheeling it, is pushing it. Then we go, he reaches somewhere, I also push it, and we go running. Kind of, it was fun, and really I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it meant, but I
You enjoy
later
it,
realized
yeah.
that was giving us morale to go. The distance was long,
Yeah.
but as we were wheeling this wheel, we would not realize that we
You'd
are
be playing,
we are-
basically,
we are-
yes.
For us, we would know we are playing, but in a way, it acted as our transport because
is true.
it was catalyzing the movement. So we would go playing.
Yes.
We are running after this wheel,
Yes.
and he's wheeling. Now I run after him. I am wheeling. He runs after me. Before we realize it,
You've reached.
we have reached where we are going.
And
So
they didn't give you trouble as children?
no, they wouldn't give us trouble as children. So when we are coming back and we are carrying now this jerrycan of cooking oil, that's when we would take the bus. And now the same distance,
Yes.
I find it hard to
Hard
cover
now,
it now.
yes, yes.
I even keep asking myself, how were we managing? Because we would even do it in the evening as we are coming from school.
Oh, wow.
You know, we are going to the market the following day. We go to school today in the evening. We are getting from school at 4. Then we are trekking this distance of 15 kilometers from home to the next place, our uncle's place, my mother's brother. So we are going to his place.
And then after you...
We take him the money. Then his wife would buy the cooking oil, brings it to us, but we would go with her to the market. So we bring it home, and then the following day they escort us to the bus park and put us in the bus. And then those moments when we would go to the river, and when you reach the river, then you overplay with friends. By the time you come home, it's late.
It is late, yeah.
And there they are disciplining you thoroughly. You receive a thorough beating.
Yes, but you still go back.
But you'll still go back to your friends. And I can tell you, these friends I made then,
Yes.
they are still faithful friends that I have now.
Oh, wow, that's very good.
We have kept as friends.
That's a blessing.
At some point, I would think that they are close relatives, only to realize that they are actually not our close relatives, but we are just neighbors.
Yes. You've gone...
I
you've
got
grown up with
surprised
them.
because to us, this was life. You would say, I'm going to, you would not even call them uncles or aunties. I'm going to Tata so and so. We are going to Tata's home. And this old man would find you and discipline you as if you were his child.
Yeah.
So for me, these are things that I still remember, and I'm like, my God, shall we still belong to communities like that?
Yes. So having all these many brothers and sisters, but somehow it felt like it was you and your brother. What was that like?
Now, because the others were older than
Way
us,
older, yes.
they were always in school and they were in boarding. So me and this little brother were like the kids at home. But whenever we would come home during holidays, it was fun.
Yes.
And I can tell you that as we were growing up, just like I have said,
Yes.
at home they would ring a bell for lunch.
Oh, wow.
Because we are playing with many other children.
Yes.
So when it is lunchtime,
You
there
hear
is
the
no way
bell.
our mother would have gone to say, now I only want my children for lunch. So they would ring a bell.
You know.
Then we all gather. the neighbors, ourselves, and we eat.
That was nice.
And I think our home had a relatively bigger compound. So we were there playing football, we would play the marbles, we would play
Everything,
all
sorts of
games,
games.
all games. And then in the evening you are all dirty.
Yeah, that was another work.
Yes, in the evening you are all dirty. But I think life, even when we were
Getting
not
older.
rich, we were in this humble environment, but life was still
But you
good.
see, that taught you some good life skills.
Yes.
Because you realized, or you felt, you actually had to come in.
Yes.
Some people look and wait for their parents to...
No, and I think one other thing that our mom taught us as we were growing, he said, we are here, we need to be accountable to one another.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, should anybody give you, even if it's 100 like this, declare it.
That is true.
So she was kind of our IGG.
Yes, she was keeping in check.
She was always keeping us in check, but I came to realize later that she was trying to teach us how to be accountable, to be responsible, and to know that you have someone who should keep watching you. So you don't have secrets to yourself.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, then you start...
Yes, and then she would even say, I want you to declare it so that when I find the person who gave you the money, I'm able to say thank you. And she did this many times. My daughter came home with, or my son came home with this amount of money and told me, it's you.
That was good.
Yes.
That was good
So
practice.
there was no way you could touch someone's thing
when it doesn't belong
when
to
it
you.
doesn't belong to you.
That is true. So now when you go to, after P7,
Yes.
the fact that you had moved a lot, did that affect in any way, maybe performance or anything like that?
Well, I may not say it affected my performance because I had time for everything. You know, by then...
You had a plan.
By then, schools, you would attend class, like now in the lower primary. You would attend class at 8, leave at 4. And you have a whole weekend to yourself. There were no weekend classes like we now
Like
have
today.
with our children. Our children are going at 4.
Yes.
4:30, they are
In the
beginning
morning,
the journeys with the buses. So sometimes when we are coming back and we want to play with our friends, then we will tell them, let's pass through some area where we can get firewood. We keep gathering the firewood
And as you play.
as we are playing.
Yes.
So when we come late, like around 5 or 5:30,
You have a good
at least
excuse.
we are having some firewood, and she will say, welcome back, thank you for gathering the firewood.
That was a very good
So
one.
we would look for innovative ways of being with our friends, but doing some constructive work.
Yes.
So now when I finished that and I went to stay with my uncle,
Yes.
my uncle's wife was a little bit particular with her things. You need to do this thing and it must be neat,
Like this
it must be
and
like
that.
this.
Yes.
But you had to do everything on order.
Yes.
And the uncle was never at home. So all the time I was on station to do things the
As they
exact
should
way
be.
she needs them done. But she was a good woman and an amazing one. We had celebrations, we had family moments together. So it really brought again life that we had at home before
memories
my father
made.
died.
Yes, memories being made.
And we are really a great family. So he took me up until I finished senior 4.
Oh, so
So when
what were you doing in senior 4? What subjects were you learning?
No, I was doing English, literature, history, geography, mathematics. Of course, the sciences
sciences
were
were-
compulsory.
yes.
In senior 1, I had wanted to do French. So I did French, and our teacher went. I later came to realize that he was a rebel for younger Kabila, who later became president. So this man had run from Congo.
Yes.
Actually, Kabila Muzei, the old Muzei,
Yes.
his rebels were staying near our
Around,
area.
yes.
So one of them was a teacher, and when he came to Uganda, he asked for this job of teaching
And then when time
French.
came,
So a time came, and the man disappeared. So we kept asking ourselves,
Where did he go?
Where had he gone? Where had he gone? Until when we were told, no.
Eh.
The man, I think, has gone back again on mission. So somehow we got the distractions.
Yeah, and you didn't continue
in
his
the
French.
language. Then they brought a new teacher. The new teacher who came was of Rwandese origin. He didn't know any bit of English. He didn't know Swahili. So you can imagine someone is teaching French. To Rukonzo speaking persons who don't know any French and he doesn't know any English. He's just gambling.
That must have made it complicated.
So then I said, I think I better give up the French. But also they told us if someone wants to take literature, then you don't have to do French.
Okay.
So it was optional. You either do literature or you do French.
So then where did you go?
So then after senior 4, I went to St. Maria Goretti Girls School for HSC, and I was in St. Maria Goretti Girls for senior 5 and senior 6. Then managed to get marks to take me for a diploma in.
So, Baba, what subjects were you doing there?
I was doing
continued
history,
with literature,
divinity, literature, and economics.
Oh, okay. Those are all subjects for reading.
Yeah, they required a lot of reading. We tried, but I think something that also got me to read less was that I took up a responsibility at school. I was the head girl of the school in St. Maria Goretti Girls School.
Wow.
When I became the head
Your
girl,
leadership skills have always been there.
They had a whole package of this leader. And those ones really modeled me a lot.
Yeah.
Well, at Kiiza Primary School, I was equally the head girl in primary. When I came to SAD Memorial, I became the sports minister. There they would call them ministers.
Yes.
And I was the chairperson of the Women's Council. You know, we had now, at that time now, the Youth Council, the councils of the NRC had started. That's when the NRM had taken power. You know, President Museveni became president when I was in P6.
Okay.
1986.
86, yes.
That is when he took power. I still remember when we had a class of P7s, they were 2. When we went to P7, there was another class of P7 which did not do exams because of the war.
Okay.
You know, NRA was in charge of Western Uganda for at least a year before they came to Kampala.
Yeah.
So during that time, students in that area did not do exams from central government here. So they had to redo. They had to now join the next class that came in to do exams.
Okay.
But I was the head girl for now the new P7,
the new team that came
in. So at Kiiza, I was the head girl. And then in SAD, I was the secretary for the minister for sports. And then later, I also joined the school council, and I became the representative of the women on the students' council.
These are roles
up to the district level.
These are roles
I would say that I think that is how my leadership journey begins. It began from the primary when I became the head girl of the primary
And you picked something from your mother?
I picked something from the most especially resilience.
Yes.
Then my uncle, whom I went to stay with, may his soul rest in peace too, who became the district chairman.
Okay.
So as I was growing up, I grew up as the daughter of the district chairman. Dealt with so many people in the home. Now started participating in the politics, the real politics of the district as a daughter of the district chairman.
Interesting.
So later, I didn't know that in a way he was grooming me now to take up the leadership challenge as a district member of parliament.
Yourself, yes. So now when you
growing up in my home as a little girl now, before my daddy died, there was UPC and DP. So me, I saw my mother as a congresswoman, but my father was a Democratic Party member. So you know you can be in this home where your parents are supporting different political parties.
Yes.
Your mother is UPC,
and
your father is DP, but never at any one time did I see them collide.
Oh wow, that is good.
This one was going for the activities of her political party, and the other one was going for the activities of his political party. And my mother was the chairperson of the women.
Yes.
At the sub-county, she was very active with her activities in the UPC. My father was equally very active in his Democratic Party.
Yes.
So one day we would be going there to sing, oh, oh, mom, and it was so nice. Then the other day we are with the daddy, everybody, UPC, with the daddy now with Democratic Party now.
Yes.
DP, egumire hata leo, egumire. But UPC had
You
life.
used to go for each of
Yes,
those.
we escort daddy to his rallies and we listen in, then we hear them singing, then we escort mommy to her meetings and we hear them singing. But UPC had life. And now I came to realize they had life because they were the ones in power.
Yeah.
So all state machinery was in their favor.
In their favor,
While
yes,
with the Democrats, I think they had, they had little power and authority to enable
this
them
is
to do.
interesting. Now, just a real quick one, just a quick reminder is that we are given this opportunity by Daughters Exclusive. They give us the chance to come and engage and have our Super Soul Sisters. Now, if you've been listening quite well, you must be knowing that this is not just in her genes, in her DNA, but also, you know, how you grow up does influence a lot. Sometimes what choices or decisions, and sometimes you may not even know. It's just too familiar. You find yourself in that space. Yes. And we'll be right back real quick as we continue with our story with Winnie Kiiza. And I must say, she's been a leader from way back.
Yeah.
I can imagine you walking with your brother and telling him like,
oh, that will.
Welcome back. You're still watching Super Soul Sisters with me, Rowena Kajumba, and I must say, this conversation has got me really excited, which I know probably back at home as well. Now, she's not just hardworking. She knows what to be polite means. You know, I keep telling people it does not hurt.
Yeah, it is true.
And some of these things are probably not taught to people anymore, but you don't have to be taught these things. And where we've reached with our story here is she has always been actively participating in politics without realizing it. And now she's reached high school. You've done your history, which is also, I think, partly, you know, one of the things that influence. After that, you go in and do your diploma. What did you do your diploma in?
I did a diploma in business studies from MOBS. By then it was called National College of Business Studies, NCBS.
Yes.
But our year, the final year, as we were doing the final year, that's when NCBS was transiting now to be part of Makerere University. And then from there, I worked with an organization called...
How did you choose business, first of all?
I was motivated by the business I was doing at home.
As a child?
As a child.
Yes, yes,
and I still remember some of our boys making fun. We were making fun of ourselves. They said, you know, we hear those Indians, their children grow up with the family businesses.
Yes.
So, you, Winnie, what is your family business? And I remember we had one other young man whose father was a barber. So he was like, now for me, I'm going to put up a very huge kinyozi. And then for me, I said, and I think it's still a date that I have, because I said, I am going to graduate. Our pancakes, we had called it the Nalongo and Daughters Sweet and Hot Loaf. That's what we called it.
Yes.
The hot and sweet
loaf. Yes.
So I said, I am going to graduate the pancakes to a bakery, a real bakery. And I can tell you, I may not feel ashamed to even start the real business of pancakes. But of course, the improved ones, I will no longer do the ones of the hands like my mother used to do.
And go through the ASO.
Yes, go through the ASO. Now I can say we can also use blenders.
Oh, but that is brilliant. You know, imagine accessing pancakes in a different way.
Yes.
Well, because most people think pancakes is about you know, I mean, some people may not access them, but when you do that, that will be a different way of accessing pancakes.
So I said I must look for a bakery where I will be doing.
I am hoping you do that.
And then when I went for business, I told them, guys, me, I'm coming for business because it is in my DNA.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't go for business. However, when I finished that diploma, then I got a job with Jungle Tours and Travel. And I was made the operations manager of the business. I was working here on Kampala Road. And I worked. We worked money.
Oh my God, this is interesting. I'm sorry.
Yes, I worked money.
You somehow you get into business.
Yes.
And then it's tourism.
Yes, it is
And I'm
tourism.
sorry, I'm going to take you back because
Yes.
you did teach as well
Yes.
at some point.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
After senior 4 in my vacation, my school, where I went for primary,
Yeah.
called me to go and teach.
Do they still do that these days?
Well, I don't know. But I think they were motivated by two things.
Yes.
One, I was one of the outstanding, disciplined girls while at school.
As much as you were naughty.
Yes, as much as I was naughty, but I was one of the disciplined students. I was being naughty in a disciplined way.
Yes, yes.
And then
You played your
too,
cards well.
Yes, then too, I was the best sportswoman of the school.
Oh, wow.
So they said, let's call Winnie to assist
Yeah.
in training the girls netball
Yes.
as she teaches. So I taught at Kiiza Primary School in my VAC of senior 4. Then in my VAC of senior 6, St. Teresa Girls School offered me a job to teach as an English teacher, but at the same time training their girls in netball. So I'm a teacher by practice, but I'm not a teacher by profession. Then
In the tourism now.
I came to
coming
Jungle
from-
Tours and Travel, and I was the operations manager. And that's why somehow I love tourism, because I marketed our nature. I marketed our tourist destinations at that time.
And you know your country quite well in
Yes,
that area.
by that time I didn't know Uganda very well. I was just using the history that I had learned
Yes.
to market the destinations that I knew were of importance to our tourists. But at the same time, I knew Rwenzori very well.
Yes.
I knew Mwea, and I can tell you the first time I went there, I was in P4.
Yes.
There was a tour for the school.
Yes.
I live close to Queen Elizabeth National Park. I live in Kasese where there is Hima Cement Factory and Klembe Mines.
Yes.
But I'd never been to these places because I was just this little villager.
Yes.
Now the school organized
The trip.
a trip to these places, Mwea, that you hear the word Mwea, it comes out as if it's a really amazing place. And I said, now I must go. I came to tell Mommy, there is a trip at school, they want us to pay money. And by that time, they wanted 400 shillings. Chikumi bibiri bisatu bina.
Yes.
400 shillings. She didn't have it.
Oh,
She
dear.
said the man I have is going to pay your fees
school
for next
fees,
term
yeah.
and for your sisters and brothers. So if we put it into
A
the
trip.
trip, we shall have deficits. Now, it taught me how to prioritize.
Yes.
If you are doing a budget, you must not play around with the budget and spoil things. Otherwise,
You're
will
going
not,
to- yes.
you will not reach where you want to go. So what did I do? I really wanted to go for this trip.
Yeah.
I went to a neighbor and asked for some work.
Nice.
So he showed me his Lusuku, banana plantation.
Yes.
You dig there, I will give you money. I said, okay. At 6, I would wake up to go and clear the banana plantation.
Oh, wow.
In the evening, when I'm coming from school, I know
You
that
go.
I have to go and work for the money for the trip. I gathered the money, I went and paid. So when we were setting off, my mother gave me 100 for pocket money. So we went to Mwea. We went into Katwe. We looked throughout to the salt panel.
Yeah.
And then we went to the national park itself. From there, we went to Hima Cement. Then we went to Kilembe Mines. So I had these memories of these childhood memories as I was marketing.
As you were marketing.
I was marketing the
nice.
destinations to the tourists.
Yes.
But then along the way, I got a job again with Wera Hospital. They were building the hospital.
Okay.
Dragados contractors had been contracted to do the hospital. So I went to work there.
Okay.
When I worked there, then the time for election.
What was your role there?
I was the store's in charge.
Okay.
I was in charge of the whole store of the contractors. And we built the hospital. But then during that same period, that's when the time came in for elections in 1998. The decentralization program was beginning. So every district was supposed to come up with the district councillors.
yes.
It is a district parliament. So I said, now let me go into leadership. So that is how I started as a district
You just
councillor.
felt like I should do this.
Some people called me and said, Winnie, they need a woman for a councillor. Well, there are people who have showed up,
But
but we believe you can be better. So I went and tested the waters.
And it didn't go bad.
No, I came late. I think by the time I came, they were remaining with 3 weeks to the election.
Oh, wow.
There we would go for the nomination and you have very little time for campaign, but my colleagues had campaigned already. So I came in late and I became number 2.
Oh.
But the person who won me was a teacher. And the law then was saying, actually it is the same law, the Local Governments Act, was saying that if you are a civil servant, you don't have to go into elective politics within the same actually, you don't have to go into elective
So you
politics.
can choose to
so
quit
you choose
one
to resign, and the person who had won was a teacher, a head teacher. So I think when she compared for her the pay, it was about the pay. When she compared the
She's
pay,
like, I rather...
and then she realized this was a temporary job, she said, no, I can't give up my teaching profession. So for her, she resigned.
Oh, then
It was, I think, after 4 months. When she
Oh.
resigned, then there was a by-election. Now, I again joined into the by-election and then became a councillor within the same year.
Nice.
So I became a councillor. When we reached other districts, I was made the Secretary for Finance and Administration, a job that I did very well. Because when I was Secretary for Finance...
Was Mom still around at this time?
Yes, by that time my mom was around
must have
and
been
she
very
was
proud,
happy.
yes.
It was my big brother who was even more happy than everyone at home. There is a time I went for a function. Some women had called me for a function and the function was massive. So when I reached there, then they said, the chief guest has come. Let us rise up for the national anthem.
Yes.
So when we reached home, my brother said, Mama,
Eh?
I didn't know that Winnie was powerful. She was powerful. You know, we sang the national anthem when she arrived. And I think they were happy. Mommy was happy. She was doing big work during the campaign. She was cooking for my agents. She was entertaining those campaign managers. So she was really into the,
she was
into
involved.
the middle of it all. They gave me a second term.
Oh, wow.
And this term took me up to a time when I contested as Member of Parliament. But before then, I took time to go and upgrade my education. So I went to Chambogo University and did a bachelor's in procurement and logistics management.
I see that. I see
Yes,
where you
my
are.
business is still on, because I was upping from the,
Yes,
the
that
business
is
course
true.
that I took from Chambogo. I actually graduated when I was already nominated as a candidate for Member of Parliament. I left the campaign trail. I was from a rally.
Yes.
I cut the rally short, left at 4, came to Kampala. The graduation was like the following day.
Oh, wow.
My friend had done the processes of registration for me, clearing code, everything for me. So I came at night, arrived here beyond midnight. The following day, I was at the graduation square.
Yeah.
After graduation, jumped onto the car again, went back to Kasese. But before maybe that, I should then tell you that in there I became a Mrs. someone.
Wow, with everything going on.
Yes, I became a Mrs.
So now this
in
is
the second term of councillor.
Oh, okay.
I got married.
While at school?
No.
Or before you go back?
Before I go to school. So when I went to school, I went there as a councillor, a Mrs. and a mother. I had a baby. I had a baby by the time I went as a councillor. I think the baby was 8 months.
So let me ask, because so many times someone with a strong personality like yours, like it shines through just as you walk into a room. Was he a bit intimidated, or he said,
My husband?
think, yes.
We were both in politics.
Okay, so,
both of us were in politics. So he wasn't intimidated at all.
Because, these days, so many men who say,
so many. So I went there as a mother. So I came after nomination. We were in the middle of the campaign as I came for the graduation. So I went back for the campaign. Yeah. And by God's grace, I became the Member of Parliament in 2006. So I graduated in 2005.
Yes.
Actually, it was 2006 in January.
Before
the election. And the election was in the same month, around the same period. It was in January, the same period, when I came to graduate. And possibly something else that people should know is that I got my second baby around the same period. I was doing my campaigns as a counselor for the second time when I was pregnant. After giving birth, the child is 1 year. I come to do my degree. In the third year, in May, I give birth to the second child. Remember, in the same third year,
Yes.
I'm going to get nominated as I graduate.
Yes.
I have here a baby.
Wow.
I'm running up and down to look for the votes.
Wow.
Well, the people were so kind and gave me the votes.
No,
but
I think you're also determined.
Yes, I had also put my energies to it.
Yes.
As a district councillor.
So how did that go for you, your first term? You've
first-
achieved a lot of things within a year. I mean,
The first term was not easy. Remember, I come to Parliament at a time when multi-party politics is being practiced after a long time of no political party operations. We're into a single party politics. Now I come here into a multi-party dispensation, and everybody is kind of closed to their own shelter.
Exactly.
You are on, to me, I came as a member of the opposition Forum for Democratic Change. Majority of the members that we were with were from the ruling government, the NRM.
So it becomes difficult, really.
So navigating through was not very easy. Remember, I live behind a district that has voted some FDCs and some NRM, so this Katogo. And you are the woman member of Parliament. Everybody expects you
to be somewhere in the middle.
To work properly. Your party expects you to push their agenda.
You've seen it. I don't know if you've got those comments as well when you try to engage other parties in the development agendas for the country, and people start, you see her, she has started.
She has started. Yeah, we better watch properly.
And yet you're all trying to work for that, for the people themselves.
It happened when we came, and many people would say, we don't want to associate with you. We don't want to be misunderstood. They say, who is misunderstanding you? Exactly. The voters have said we should all be here.
To work.
It's for the good of the country that we are all here. So let's look for things that bring us together for the good of our country. I know that I can stay with you even when we don't agree. I will tolerate.
Yes,
so you also have to tolerate me the way I am. If we can learn to tolerate one another, learn to talk, and I think this now forced me to go for my second degree that I did in peace and conflict resolution.
While it was your first...
While I was in Parliament.
For your first term?
I did it in the second term.
Okay, in the second term, yes.
So really, and every time I find young girls saying, Winnie, we treasure you, Winnie, you inspire us, Winnie, I want to really thank them.
Yeah.
But they should know that there is a journey I have walked.
Exactly. It just didn't happen.
Yes, many of them will tell me we want to be like you. But they don't want to go through the same path that I went through. At some point when we were in high school, we now did the business of making bricks. We were making bricks, and people would buy the bricks, and we get the fees. Get capital for the next lot of bricks. Even the place where you were doing the bricks from at home is still there. We have preserved it as a memorial.
That's good.
For that.
So, well, now 15 years of service, and then you shocked us, most of us, and said, I'm done with this, as we wind up. You said, I'm done with this. However, you still joined a couple of other people.
Yes. You know, it also depends on what you go for when you go into leadership. We have many people who get into leadership or who have come to Parliament or who have joined politics because they are looking for jobs. Then there are those who are going there to serve.
That's true.
I was intrigued to join active politics because I thought I would contribute to the transformation of my society. And I kept on the side of the people. Every other time I would go to ask, how do you want me to do this? Yes. And I would go with the majority. Of course, there were those who were not concerned. So, and during that time, I kept telling myself, if I'm serving people, I may not necessarily be the best, but at this time, they have given me the opportunity to serve.
So I would
just
do it.
like I replaced someone else will replace me. 2, it was just about my conscience. When I went into Parliament,
Yes.
the biggest campaign I carried out was that my predecessor had overstayed in Parliament. Take time to groom others so that they take up from you and you play an advisory role. As I was leaving the district council, there was someone who took up from me. I didn't wait to be chased from the council. I had to
said, "No,
transit. I grew.
You grew.
So maybe the next destination will be, how do I begin planning to take up the leadership of this great country, Uganda?
I almost asked you that question. I was like, do you see yourself? So, real quick, as we get into this, when you decided to do that,
Yes.
there was also controversy there. Eh?
Yes.
When joining
The Alliance
the
for National
alliance,
Transformation, yes.
What was
Actually, it wasn't a controversy. It is something that I believed in.
Okay.
As a member of the Forum for Democratic Change, there were ideals and principles that we believed in. Along the way, some of the principles were being dropped. We believed
And you
that,
didn't feel...
yes, we believed that we can transform this country, first of all, in an organized manner. At a personal level, I have taken it upon myself to mentor other girls because they have told me I inspire them.
Yes.
They want to be like me. So I share this journey with them, the ones that I come across. And I tell them, let not your background or your history deter you from where you want to go. Yeah.
Indeed. So what do you live by as Winnie Kiiza? What gets you up? What gets you going? What has kept you this determined over the years?
What keeps me determined is wanting to have a society that believes in justice, a society that believes in equal treatment for all, a society that respects and wants to get the best out of everyone.
You're a very busy woman.
Yes.
You've done so many things within the same space. Do you ever have your free time to do certain things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I wasn't having the free time to do certain things, I wouldn't be a Nalong. So I have time for my family.
Yes.
I have time for my husband.
Yes.
Yes, I know times can be so busy, but amidst those busy schedules, I create time.
What do you love to do though, like in your free time?
I love my netball. I still play it.
You still play netball?
Yes.
Nice.
By the time I left Parliament, I was the captain of the parliamentary netball captain. And during my time, we won so many awards through the interparliamentary games. I won a lot of medals, and I still do that. So sometimes I'm with my children, we are playing our balls.
Oh, good.
One of them seems to be taking up from me to become a very nice sportswoman.
Nice.
The other one is, the little one now, the youngest one is doing football, and he loves being a goalkeeper.
Nice.
Then my second born loves music. Incidentally, I used to be a member of the drama club in my school.
Oh, wow.
Can't believe it. I was doing netball, I was doing drama, athletics,
everything.
I was doing drama. So I do a lot of crazy things, but I do them because I love them. You know, there is nothing as beautiful as doing something that you love. And then it is even sweeter if you do it and they pay you for it.
That is true.
You are doing it, you love it. Like, I really loved being a member of Parliament. It's a job I enjoyed. I did it because I loved the job. I love working with communities. I love working with people. But now it became sweeter because I was paid to do what I loved most.
But now that you resigned from really being active in the politics, how do you, I know you still have other things you're doing.
Yes.
But you have a little more time on you.
Yes.
What
I have. That's why I've told you that now something else that I want is nurturing young people, is nurturing other women to take up leadership roles, and also possibly to become better leaders. And it's something that I love because I really want to do it. So whether they pay me or not,
do you love a good party, or you're a person
still do it.
Who wants to stay home? And
I am not necessarily a home person. I don't go dancing, but I love parties because they bring me closer to people, and I love being amidst people.
Yes.
So I go for parties purposely to socialize.
To socialize,
with others.
yes, there's a purpose for that.
Yes, to socialize with others. I'm a people person.
Yes.
So what brings me closer to people, I love it. So and parties is one of those things.
Okay. So what would you say to the young people that would want to aspire to be like you, our Super Soul sister today?
I'll
to the
just
young girls and boys.
the young girls,
Especially the young girls.
young girls and boys who are watching me and always tell me that I inspire them. I want to thank you for getting inspired by myself and other sisters that have occupied the political space and also those in the business space, in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Please continue getting inspired. What I can say is have role models that speak to your heart. What do you want to be? And therefore, who are the role models that you look on to?
Yes.
For me, becoming a politician, as young as I was,
Yes.
I kept reading so much about Winnie Mandela. With her activism in her politics by the time her husband was arrested. So I kept asking myself, how does a woman start causing so much havoc to government, even when the husband is in prison? Now, as I grew up, I started seeing people like Winnie Byanyima. I saw the Miriam Matembes. I saw the Cicely Ogwals. I saw the Ali Salassos. And I kept saying, I want to be like those women.
Yeah.
So I grew up wanting to be someone. So everything that I did was supposing Miriam Matembe looks at me doing it, would she be satisfied?
Yeah.
Supposing Winnie Byanyima had me make this statement, would she be happy with it? So remotely, my role models were controlling me, even when they didn't know.
Yes.
Now that I interact with them freely, I now keep telling them, you always had me on remote control, even when you were not there.
Yeah.
I came to love the Chitenge fabric because my role model loved Chitenge, Winnie Byanyima.
Yes.
So somehow I found myself
also doing
being
the
motivated.
same.
No,
Yes.
when I started politics, I was a small little girl, very thin, very tiny.
Yes.
And I was just from college, hadn't taken long in the work space, and I would come with my girly dresses, and people were saying, no, for you, you may not necessarily be the woman counselor, you need to be a real woman. So I said, now, let me change. I may not go into Gomasis, I may not go into the sukas, but I can do the chitenge and I will be in it. So I started right away with the chitenges, though sometimes I do want to feel so office-like, and then I put on like this. Then too, be assertive.
Yeah.
What you want, look for it, and go get it. Many of the young people want money much more than the journey they want to trek.
Yes, that is true.
And then along the way, you miss on the right mentorship that you would get. If you want to go into politics, can you take up a role as possibly a mobilizer for one of those who are campaigning, and you say, can I work in your office, even at no cost? Yeah. Along the way, they will see the good in you and they will pay for it.
The table,
Let me tell you, to rise up to the office of the leader of opposition, when I came to Parliament the first year, of course, those who knew Parliament, they knew the benefits around being chairperson of a committee, they knew the benefits of being leader of opposition, and for me, I didn't know. So for me, I sat there waiting. Now they distributed these big positions, and there remained one position like this which was not going to attract any allowance. Deputy Opposition Chief Whip.
Wow.
It had no allowance, and so nobody was willing to take it. I said, can I volunteer? I didn't know what the job was supposed to do. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I said I will be mentored into the space. So I asked for the job. Can I volunteer? They said, please volunteer. So I acted as the opposition deputy chief whip. Now, I asked, what is the role of the deputy opposition chief whip? So now they took me through the role. So I volunteered in this space for, I think, around 2 years. It was actually 1 year, and unfortunately, our leader of opposition was involved in an accident, and the chief whip was the Honorable Kassiano Wadri, started acting as the leader of the opposition. And me, I started acting as the chief whip.
Wow.
Now, as I was acting there, I got, I think, more experience, and the way I interacted very fast and freely with people, then they gave me a committee to chair.
Wow.
So I became the chairperson of the Government Assurances Committee at that level.
By taking on an opportunity?
I took up an opportunity that was not paying, that had no benefits, but and I offered myself as a volunteer. So I want to tell the young people that sometimes you may offer a service without knowing, but this service will take you to where you want to go. Don't be motivated by money at the beginning, because you will get the money later on.
Eventually,
And
yes.
everything you do, don't attach a financial implication to it, because when you attach a financial attention to it, you may not do it to your best, because maybe
All you want is
yes, all you want is the money, and you may not do the job as it is supposed to be done. To those of you who want to go into the politics, don't be motivated by money.
Yeah.
Those who have been motivated by money, I've seen them crashing along the way, and they are the ones who are making politics look like it's a dirty game. Because they are motivated by money, they are ready to sell their conscience, they are ready to do anything nasty for the sake of getting that money yourself.
That is very true. Thank you so much. Now, I must say, she has just been very, clear on some of these things. Now, we've seen that she's come from helping her mother sell the pancakes. She has even bricks.
Yes.
I didn't know, really, as a younger girl. Now, some of these things we tend to ignore, to avoid, to maybe say, oh, that is not for me. But like she
Yes.
said, take on the journey, take on the risk. And you're right, so many young people will say, that is not giving me money, so I'll not put in all my efforts. So in the end, we need to know that sacrifices need to be made. She's still having fun while she's doing this
lot of
work.
it.
Even when she's a busy woman, she tells you she'll go play her netball, she'll engage with her children. And this is some of the things that, at the end of the day, it is not that hard if you put your mind
To it.
and time to it. Thank you so much. We do appreciate you so much. Now, a quick reminder, Daughters Exclusive is giving us this space where I'm seated with our Super Soul sister today, Winnie Kiiza, and she said, well, in all of that, she literally said, have resilience.
And a
Stick
positive
to your-
attitude.
Yes,
Positive
and a
attitude.
positive attitude. Now, don't undermine anything.
Yeah.
Take that step, and you never know. You never know. My name is Rona Kajumba. From me and the team of Super Soul Sisters and our Super Soul Sister, thank you for watching. Till next time, bye.
Thank you, Rowena.
No, thank you.